Welcome to Conservative Pride. What you see on the screen is a travesty. As if finding out Kamala Harris and her campaign lost $1 billion budget isn't enough. It's time to come face to face with her beneficiaries. Now we have the numbers. We know exactly who charged her for their services. One hustler after another took advantage of her staffers with relative ease. One of these scammers just happens to dawn our screen right now. Al Sharpton has been fooling people for over 40 years now, going from one deception to the next. We haven't forgotten your stint as a government informant either, Al, or how you slithered your way into your MSNBC show. We'll get into all of that later. First, let's see what the Young Turks have to say. Roll it.
What do you want 50 years from now, history to say about Kamala Harris?
I hope that, and I really do work that my life will have proven to have been a life that is about fighting for the people.
As with any presidential candidate, Kamala Harris did do some interviews on the campaign trail. You just watched a clip of her interview with Al Sharpton. What I didn't expect, though, was that she was paying prior to the interviews being conducted. Either the production companies associated with the host that was interviewing her would get paid, or in the case of Al Sharpton, her campaign made two $250,000 donations in September and October to the National Action Network, which is the nonprofit that Al Sharpton runs. All right, so he wasn't the only one. The campaign also gave $350,000 to New Vision Media on September 9th, which is run by Roland Martin. Now, Martin interviewed Harris on his show back in October for about 30 minutes. And Martin did confirm that he did receive that money, but that money was for advertisement. And then he added this in typical Roland Martin fashion: it should have been a hell of a lot more. More should have been spent on Black-owned media. Well, Roland, I'm here to give you the good news, because she did spend more on Black media, just not you. Because when it came to her interview with Oprah, we had previously heard that she had spent, or her campaign, I should say, had spent $1 million paying Harpo Productions, which is Oprah's production company. But later, the filings indicated that a lot more was spent, and this is according to the filings obtained by the New York Times. The Harris campaign spent $2.5 million on that interview.
Wait, did you see how she answered that question? Man, she really could have been our 47th president. They say over 70 million people voted for her. We at Conservative Pride have a hard time believing 70 million voters pulled the lever for that foolishness. As far as Black media goes, do you really think you should have gotten more? No Black person under 60 listens or watches you, Roland. Even less pay attention to Al Sharpton. We really should find out which staffers gave her all those terrible strategies. You can argue that Charlemagne had potential, but she misused the opportunity. Even if she contributed more to Black media, it should not have been you or Sharpton. Let's keep going.
Okay, yeah. And Winfrey, by the way, clarified on Instagram that she was not paid a dime for the event. The money actually went toward, the staffing and the lighting and all of the other equipment that was necessary for the interview. She says, quote, "For the live streaming event in September, my production company, Harpo, was asked to bring in set design, lights, camera, crew, producers, and every other item necessary, including the benches and the chairs we sat on, to put on a live production. I did not take any personal fee. However, the people who worked on that production needed to be paid and were. End of story."
No, not end of story.
So, okay, I'm gonna let you jump in, because look, the way I see it is, there are news shows that typically interview candidates, right? So when Donald Trump went on Rogan, he didn't give Rogan money ahead of time. At least as far as we know, the Trump campaign did not do that. That's why it's referred to as earned media. You know, that 3-hour sit-down conversation wasn't something that he had to spend any campaign money on, but obviously it paid some pretty handsome dividends, considering the fact that Joe Rogan has a massive audience and that podcast episode did really well numbers-wise. And so I don't know why Harris didn't go in that direction. I'm not saying she had to do Joe Rogan's show.
We are. Rogan's interview with Donald Trump is over 52 million views at the moment. Kamala Harris's interview with Call Her Daddy is at 935,000 views. She should have definitely went to Rogan to have a real conversation. That fake, choreographed, and one-topic interview on Call Her Daddy fell flat. Rogan would have gotten her to open up more, thus the American public would feel like they know more about her. She truly dropped the ball on that one, in our opinion. One of many dropped balls by the Harris campaign. Going on The View was a mistake as well. Why would she go to that show twice, especially the last appearance, which was weeks before the election? Harris presented herself again and again to an audience that was already going to vote for her. Roll it.
But I'm saying there are other shows, like you don't need to pay for their production because they have a production already. They do a daily show or a weekly show. You could have gone on those shows instead.
Yeah, but they didn't want to. They only wanted to go on the shows that they bribed. So look, let me be clear. First off, Roland is not entirely wrong. You could do ads in shows and then go on the shows. In fact, that's what they do with mainstream media. They do tons of ads on NBC, CNN, Fox News, etc., and then they get interviewed by those. By the way, that's also why cable news is a bunch of ass kissers, because one of their top clients are the politicians themselves. So that's why they're always like, oh, the politicians are having an honest debate. Oh my God, their donor money doesn't affect them at all. They're honorable people, right? Because they don't want to offend one of their top advertisers. So that's a different issue and an interesting issue and one we talk about all the time. So if Roland says that it went to ads, it went to ads. Okay, I trust him on that. And to me, that's a little bit of a different category, okay?
The difference with the Al Sharpton situation is the fact that he took money for his nonprofit in 2 payments. After that, he interviewed her on MSNBC without declaring the money or letting the network know about the payments. He took $500,000 to give a softball interview to a presidential nominee. Not only that, but he took the time on that interview to shame black male voters for not voting for Harris, taking to call them misogynists for deciding against her. It's clear to us at Conservative Pride that Al Sharpton should receive another nickname. It should be more like Al Charlatan. Man, aren't you tired of these suckers and scammers taking and taking without adding anything productive to the world? With that said, we want you to do a couple of more things for us. Subscribe and hit the like button so we can keep delivering this content to you. We'll catch you on the next episode.